TPC. Where you been? As usual, my air conditioner says good morning to you. Took a small hiatus from doing videos. Seemed like I was popping out videos every day. You're welcome. So it's Monday. Noticed I had the Monday morning court of unpopular opinion. It's back in section or session. Just when I think I have nothing to bitch about. Social media comes to my rescue. This time it's in the form of Twitter. So this thread showed up in my Twitter feed a few days ago. A lady put out a thread on Twitter about a work issue that she had been a party to a few days earlier. I don't know who this who the lady was who posted this. I wasn't friends with her, obviously. Somebody that I followed her, and so the thread popped up in my feed. Can't remember exactly where she worked, but she was probably, by looking at the picture, probably my age, mid to late 40s, that generation. Oh, smoking the Peterson 01 with Maltese Falcon. So the thread that this lady posted, I think it happened like last Monday or something like that. But she works in some form of publishing. I don't think it was a newspaper, but anyway, it's not relevant to the story. But, so there was a younger person that had been brought into the fold at her job. And as with, you would expect with all matters of, well, what should happen doesn't always happen, I know, but anyway. There are always editors in these kinds of professions. If you have something that's going to be published, whether it be in advertising and journalism, what have you, there's editors, and the job of the editor, of course, is to take what you submit to them, and they go through it and cut here, paste here, change this word, that kind of thing. So this younger person had been brought in, and I don't know if they had, it was a young lady, I don't know that she had ever been through the process of having an editor go through her work. But the editor was also just for clarification, was also a female. I don't want anybody to think there was mansplaining involved. This was a female editor looking at the work of another younger female employee. And so the editor calls the employee in, standard procedure, to discuss some changes that the editor thinks needs to be made to whatever the young lady had submitted. And one of the edits was a spelling error that the young lady had in her document. Now, I don't know what the document was pertaining to, what the subject was, but thought somebody was walking up on me. The young lady misspelled the word hamster, the little rodent, hamster. She spelled it H-A-M-P-S-T-E-R. She added a P where there was no P to be. And as it happened, the editor pointed it out to her, which did not sit well with the young lady employee, who began to get irate about the fact that her editor was correcting her misspelling of the word hamster, because in her words she had always spelled it that way, and the editor had no right to change the spelling, her spelling, because she'd always spelled it that way. And as should have happened, the editor protested and said, but it's not spelled that way, and pulled out a dictionary. It made no difference. The young lady still protested and began to get emotional. How dare this editor correct her spelling on something she'd always spelled that way, that even if it's not spelled that way in a dictionary, it's still her way of spelling it. And she should be able to spell it the way she wants to spell it, regardless of whether it's correct or not. Now, this meeting between the editor and the young lady was not brought out to be contentious, and so it had been an open-door meeting up until this point. When the editor realized that this was not, the young lady was not going to take this lightly. And so the meeting goes on, and the young lady ends up in tears because of the editor correcting her misspelling. Now, you would think that the story would end there. Ooh. So apparently, when the meeting was over, the young lady, coffee. The young lady leaves the meeting, goes into a conference room. Now, keep in mind, all of this has so far happened within the earshot of the other employees in the office. So the young lady leaves the meeting, goes into a conference room nearby, leaves the door open, gets on the phone, and calls her mama, and told her mama that the editor was picking on her, and that she wanted her mama to call the editor and tell the editor to stop picking on her for the misspelling of the word hamster. Now, parenting is not an easy job. There are a lot of things you're going to screw up that you think you did right. There are a lot of things that you think you did wrong that maybe you weren't so wrong about. But keep in mind, the doors opened to this conference call that this girl called her mother on. And the mother's response was, the editor's wrong. You've always spelled hamster that way. You should be allowed to continue to spell hamster incorrectly because that's the way you spell it. You want to believe that this story is not true. As I read the thread, because it was one of those, it was, you have a character limit on Twitter. So you can't get the whole story into one tweet. it goes into a thread, and it was probably 8 or 9 portions of 8 or 9 parts through the thread of the story. And you continue reading, and you want to say, that's not true. But it's true. This parent has taught their child that nothing that they do is wrong. That there's no way that they can be incorrect on their misspelling of the word hamster. What does this lead to? It leads to kids who want to stick their tongue into ice cream tubs in the grocery stores and put the tub back on the shelf after they do it. These kids who stick their tongues or open, there was another one who I guess went and opened a Listerine bottle in a grocery store, drank out of it, spit it back into the Listerine bottle, put the bottle back on the shelf. Now, if they get arrested and get in trouble, they're going to call their mama and say, "Mama, I cannot believe that they arrested me for sticking my tongue in ice cream. I felt like I needed to lick the ice cream. I like the taste of the ice cream, so I licked the ice cream. There's nothing wrong with me licking ice cream and putting it back on the shelf. I didn't want the whole tub. I just wanted to lick the ice cream." What in the fresh hell is that? Sit down. That's a parental problem. That's a parental issue. That is lack of parenting. That is blatant idiocy in raising a child. Blatant idiocy. That's an IQ that doesn't go above 37. Those are the ones that teach your kids. Everybody gets a trophy because you don't want anybody to feel left out. I don't need sensitivity training. They all need insensitivity training. Somebody do that. Somebody put together a course and call it insensitivity training. Get on my dad blame nerves, licking ice cream in a dad blame grocery store. That stuff like that actually does anger me. Because I have a wife who has serious health issues. And now she's literally having to go through the grocery store. If we want ice cream, she's got to open up every tub. She has to. This is not paranoia on her part. She has to check and make sure that the seal is tight. I don't mean she opens them. She doesn't open the ice cream. But she has to make sure that the seal is tight on everything that she buys because of the stupidity, the assery, the lack of morals, the lack of intelligence of people. She has to go now and check because she can't afford not to. She has to check because if she gets a hold of something that's been tainted by some low-life, uneducated scumbag person, she could get sick and make it worse. If this video offends you, call your mama. Thumbs down, call your mama, and tell her that I offended you. I go take a blood pressure pill. Hamster does not have a P. Do not open a tub of ice cream and lick it and put it back on the shelf. If you do, I hope you get all that's coming to you. Don't feel sorry for you, dang bit. No compassion for you whatsoever. If you want to be that stupid, you don't deserve compassion. And your parents are just as stupid, if not more, for allowing you to think that that's okay, including misspelling the word hamster. It's Monday. I'm over 15 minutes. The Monday morning court of unpopular opinion is in recess. You folks be well, be humble, and be grateful for all that you have. Unless it's licked ice cream.